Hello guys, this is EG.DeMusliM, Terran player of Team Evil Geniuses. Here I'm going to show you a pretty quick TVT. This is a build order kind of matchup. Build orders are very new in Heart of the Swarm. Wings of Liberty TVT was one of the most dynamic matchups in the game. And here we're going to see two build orders kind of plot out the same, but then go dramatically different. And it's a pretty fast-paced, aggressive TVT, and I think you'll enjoy it. So here we are.
Hello guys, this is EG.DeMusliM spawning as the Blue Terran in the northeast of Cloud Kingdom. One thing that happens in this replay, just to start it off, is the stacking of SCVs in the start of the game. We stack our SCVs on the closest mineral patches possible. Some maps have only 2 mineral patches that are close, such as these two. They're much closer than the other ones. The travel distance from here to here, much further than here to here, likewise with here to here. And so we can just get a few extra minerals in by just simply putting SCVs on these two spots. If you're, let's say, gold, platinum level, you don't really need to worry about this. Even masters level, you don't. But if you feel yourself having your hands free for a large portion of the early game, and you just want to maybe embellish a little bit on your play and just kind of help yourself out by getting a few extra minerals, well, that's definitely something you can do. Our Terran player opponent, Jay, Red Korean, spawning over on the left side of the map, does go for this wall off. Now, this is something that I started doing too in TVT. The only thing that it could be bad against, I suppose, is a proxy marauder, in which you float your barracks and you start picking off the depots. But how often does that really happen? Not very. And in nearly every other circumstance, the wall off will actually benefit you. Stops scouts getting in, stops Hellions getting in, stops a lot of stuff getting in. As for other things happening in this game, we will slightly speed up a little bit. Talking about scouting, we scout very early with a 13 SCV. We scout down in this location purely for those proxy marauders that I talked about, or even proxy reapers now. Another proxy Rax location is here on Cloud Kingdom, like it would be here for him, or for me to do it to him, in which reapers can hit your base very quickly. As we see here, this will be our 14th SCV that pops out, so 15 supply. We go for 15 gas. Much later than our opponent, but again it has a reason behind it. We will be getting more minerals than our opponent. We do meet very briefly in the middle of the map with our SCV scouts, so very similar builds, but we will be getting more minerals and having our expo much sooner. Whether or not he's making an expo yet, we have no clue. Other things, so we scout his base. One thing that actually happened there with my SCV, I rallied it over to here somewhere without actually clicking at the top of the ramp, and we did happen to have a pathing problem, which isn't a problem at all really. It just means that there was no way to get into the space, so my SCV was trying to find the closest way to get to this rally point location. So as we scout up here, we'll keep our SCV around a little bit, and we do note that our Marine comes out at this time. So I run away just in case it is a Reaper or a Marine popping out. Unfortunately for me, it is a Reaper. So at this stage of the game, we're just scouting with our Marine. Everything's going as planned. We get our orbital down, he gets his orbital down, very similar times. And we're just macroing. Harvest count-wise, both on 16. Everything's going fine. We go for reactor barracks before anything else, before anything hugely significant. And he has a Reaper on the way to our base with vision of our tower. At this point, this is something that I've just been experimenting with. I'm very scared about Reapers entering my base at different locations. For example, he can enter here, 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 even in the ramp the normal way, or even here. So large space of entry. So I go for this supply depot down here, while making a command center up here pretty soonish, just so I can see where he enters my base. As you can see here, I saw that Reaper and SCV pass by and run past my depot, which gives me enough time to react and get into a position to defend this Reaper and said SCV, which is quite pivotal. We kill the SCV, we don't kill the Reaper. As such, he does get away, but he lives to tell the tale. He wastes time in this depot. So this depot, despite costing me technically 100 minerals right there and then 25 minerals for cancelling it, it was definitely worthwhile. It saved me the loss of a Reaper, the loss of scouting. Like, what did he actually see in my base? He gets to see the CC, so I should probably put that in a different location, say over here. But we're definitely doing pretty well. Here, we don't really lose anything again. Just building up our Marine count. He's stopped producing Reapers at this point and is getting a reactor himself, a factory going down, and an expo. Our expos actually go down at similar times. His a little ahead of mine, actually. So that's unusual, but hey, it happens. At this point, we have this Marine over at this section, So the only way those 2 Reapers can get into this part of my base is if they quickly weasel round, of which we'll probably see a little red blip on our minimap, so that's a very important place for that Marine. As for how this game's progressing, we have 6 Marines on the field, soon to be 8. I like to go for that number, given that's how many it takes to build or fill a medivac. Here he does jump up, and he does get slayed by my squad. Here he runs past the single Marine and takes a little bit of damage and runs back again, and we do see all of that, so we feel very, very safe. This stage of the game, we will be putting our factory over here to produce Hellions at a pretty alarming rate. As for gases, we're both relatively similar in our builds. He goes for a starport over here, so he's going for the Tech Lab starport. I'm going for the normal medivac starport, and yeah, our builds are very, very similar. So Hellion counts, he's got 2 to my 1, but he's only got 1 Reaper to my 8 SCVs, so I'm doing very, very well at this stage of the game. Here I'm producing a factory, producing a Tech Lab on this barracks. We'll move those around, we'll produce even more Hellions also. Everything's going as planned. Here we have SCVs mining for him. His base seems in pretty good shape. He's producing even more Hellions to defend, and a Raven. The Raven, that comes in handy later on for those late game situations where you really want to take air control. With Vikings against Vikings, the PDDs help a lot. Even against Marauders, if I was to go with Marauders, it would help. So here we have our medivac out. We have how many Hellions on the field? We have 5 Hellions against his 6. We have 8 Marines against his 1 Reaper. We're in good shape. We even start putting up our 3rd base here and floating over our 2nd to our natural. So our natural goes down a little bit later than his, but we're not in too bad shape. Here, because of the medivac speed boost, we got to his base pretty darn fast. This Reaper does fall, and now we're going to plant down the aggression here. His Hellions do run in and immediately take pretty significant damage to this little squad that we have. His Raven does all it can by planting an auto turret, only has 50 energy at this time, and we're piling on the aggression. Marines are actually pretty good with the medivac against Hellions, especially when we have Hellions ourselves. So the resources lost tab, as you can see, this push is dealing significant damage. We have a 3rd on the way, we're making tanks, we're making Hellions behind this. We're actually in really good shape right now. Denying this natural from mining, he's trying to make Vikings, trying to make Hellions. What can he actually do at this point in time? We're just dealing so much damage to him that he really doesn't want to have happen right now. 6 Marines still alive, 2 Hellions alive, and the medivac alive. We're taking our sweet time. We don't want to mess up here. We just want to keep on dealing as much damage and deny his mining for as long as possible. Here the Hellions, we do focus down the low health ones as much as we possibly can. Here that one dies, this one should die too. And we quickly save those 3 Marines before they totally get decimated, just in the nick of time. Other things going on. So double factories we are producing. Command center, we have a siege tank over here. We have another siege tank here. We're very, very safe. As for what these Marines do, well, they can't really do much with that little health, but we have 2 Hellions running to the bottom of the map. This was actually before you needed an armory and a Tech Lab upgrade for said upgrade, but you can still do this build, just you don't do it with Hellbats. You could actually just do it with 4 regular Hellions, and then run this medivac in and deal even more damage than I do right now. Harvest count-wise, 34 to 41. Definitely a good number to be at. These Hellbats do drop and they do immediately start dealing a lot of damage. As you can tell, this guy is panicking a little bit. All his SCVs come on the same spot, from 28 SCVs down to, 24 in one blast, 23 in another, 22, so we're actually doubling his SCV count right now. Things are not looking good. We've got an extra base than him with a 3rd CC up. We've got a pretty decent factory count. We've got a good count of tanks out on the field, producing an engineering bay for turrets and such. Another starport. I guess it's just to maintain air control, as the only way I can lose right now is if he has Banshees and Vikings out on the field. But as you can see, all he has is Hellions and Vikings. We're in pretty good shape right now. Our economy looking much, 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 much more healthy than his. That really I don't even need to talk about that. We've got double armory going. Doesn't have an armory. Just in every possible way we are ahead. We have our Hellions in the main base here. We even have a tank in the main in case he drops us there. We have more factories on the way. And even a Thor coming out. Again, that's because of the threat of the Banshees. Here, these Vikings do land on these Hellions, which we turn into battle mode just to take out these Vikings even easier. Every tank is firing in this fight, so well-positioned tanks. And again, his army just got smushed. Here our +1's about to hit too, so we're doing well. If we don't defend this attack, well, we'll still be in pretty decent shape. The Thor does come out, and against Hellions, the Thor will do so well. As you can see, 1 SCV lost thus far. The tank's still firing from the high ground. The Thor's still shooting, and we only lost one SCV during that whole engagement, and WGG is called.
So while not too many new units being used in this matchup, we definitely got to see the medivac speed upgrade being used. We got to see some Hellbats being very efficient against armored units, given that they do 18 damage plus 30 to light. Pretty significant. And you got to see how you can defend and play aggressive in TVT. A dynamic matchup and one well worth delving into. This was brought to you by Razer Academy. Thank you for watching. Hello guys, this is EG.DeMusliM, current player for Team Evil Geniuses. Here I'm going to show you a pretty good game between myself and Huck, another player for Team Evil Geniuses, one of Canada's best in fact. I actually experiment around a little bit with mech against Protoss, and if it's something you haven't seen yet, in HOTS it's pretty darn strong, so we'll get right on into this game.
Hello guys, here we have myself, EG.DeMusliM, spawning as the Blue Terran in the northeast part of Cloud Kingdom against none other